words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Good morning. My name is Dave Griffith. I'm honored to be with you this morning here at St. Matthew's. I want you to know there are 3 St. Matthews in the GPS system, but we'll get back to that later. I want to thank Dave and Jay for the invitation. And I also want to thank you for your long-standing support of Episcopal Community Services, where I am the executive director. I am the first layperson called to lead this 145-year-old organization, and as a lifelong Episcopalian, I must tell you I am humbled by that call. While I have spent my life's work in the for-profit world, my passion and my purpose has been to be on a journey shaped by the call to service, a call I have come to know as our common work. Today, I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about that common work. As a people of faith, we know almost from day one the words of our baptismal covenant. Specifically, I'd like to call your attention to the final words. Will you seek and serve Christ in all persons, loving your neighbor as yourself? And the people answer, I will, with God's help. Will you strive for justice and peace among all people and respect the dignity of every human being? And again, the people answer, I will, with God's help. Our common work is grounded in our common call to service, to meet the standard of loving our neighbor as ourselves, to strive for justice, to respect the dignity of every human being, to not only care for the family and loved ones, but to also care for the stranger among us. At Episcopal Community Services, our work is grounded in our baptismal covenant. As the executive director, I'm often asked about our focus. My answer is our overarching focus is to confront poverty wherever we meet it. We believe that the way out of poverty is a job built on a foundation of education, training, safety, wellness, and security. That where employment is not possible due to age or disability, to provide stability. In addition, we look to give the voice to those in poverty and stand as a leadership organization in this battle for social justice. Let me be clear, ECS is not a safety net agency. We are a lift up, lift out agency, focused on those who want and need the tools to move with certainty beyond poverty, especially the most vulnerable of our region's population, which is where for 145 years ECS has often done its best work. So underneath that focus is a series of programs focused on that select segment of those in the region that form the population that live in poverty. It's important to note that in the city of Philadelphia and the region, of the 10 major cities, Philadelphia has the highest level of poverty of any of the major cities at 28%. These programs that we respond to poverty with are shaped with and from the voice of our participants, their hopes, and their dreams. We look to be a client-focused agency, not one focused by contracts. If you ask your customer, if you ask your client, if you ask your participant, they will tell you what they need. In many ways, this defines what is unique about ECS. So what are the programs? We work with underserved youth in our out-of-school time program, recently ranked #1 in the nation. We focus on youth age 14 to 18 in our Seeing Youth Succeed program, and we focus on 18 to 23-year-olds, and our purpose here is to engage this population with our newly launched employment center designed to help them find full-time, meaningful employment, with the emphasis on the word meaningful. We also work with homeless mothers and their children at ECS, St. Barnabas's Mission at 60th and Girard, as well as permanent supportive housing for chronically homeless families where one member of the head of household has a disability. Through our parenting work, we lay the groundwork for responsible parenting for individuals who have not had a solid model of parenting. Our home care groups, which some folks are learning about in Adult Forum as we speak, bring stability and care to the elderly. And our newest ECS mission, although an old program in the region, Dolphins of the Delaware Valley, volunteers visit the elderly in nursing homes where those individuals may not have family, or certainly not family that's close. We look to meet poverty. We look to meet poverty wherever we find it by extending our reach to individuals in Darby, Chester, Norristown, Port Richmond, Frankfort, and Bristol. Our joint mission with the diocese is up and running in Darby. Finally, we work with our parish brothers and sisters to build capacity and skills to support the common mission in the region and to build relationships with volunteers, without whom we could not staff at the levels that we do. To date, we have worked with over 30 different parishes on these capacity building projects. We are also responding to a local social service system that, frankly, ladies and gentlemen, is in chaos and stress. We leverage our extraordinary professional staff across a range of disciplines: strategy, advancement, finance, human resources, technology, even quality, to work with other agencies and other parishes as an umbrella organization, and in some cases to bring these programs into ECS and allow them to focus solely on, productively, on the mission at hand. Dolphins being the latest example. Over time, we will grow, and we'll grow with such a strategy where we meet people with common mission that focus on poverty, stability, and advocacy. Now, it's important to understand that we are not alone in this work. As we partner in the Interfaith Alliance with our brothers and sister agencies at Jewish, Methodist, Lutheran, Presbyterian, and Catholic. For the first time, these agencies are working together to find common practice, to avoid duplication, and to try and speak with one voice on the critical issues of the day. So while these are missions and strategies that resonate with our staff and program participants, we have an obligation to give a voice to the issue of poverty and call with collective accountability for the solution to this deep-seated regional issue. Our long-term aspiration, the long-term goal, is that every business and employer in the region commit to hiring a share of their workforce from the population currently living in poverty. $5.7 billion gets spent in our region on the 14 safety net programs. 1960, poverty was 15%. As we sit here today, it's 28%. One could argue at how effective government programs have been. If 10% of the jobs in the 5 counties of the Diocese of Pennsylvania were filled by individuals in poverty looking to find meaningful work, the potential number is some 4,000 to 6,000 individuals per year based on the current trend and census. Such an action of hiring from this population, especially first-time job seekers, incredibly important. The needle on poverty moves and moves long-term. Within a generation, we can lower the population of individuals in poverty and raise the quality of life across the region. We see our job at ECS to work both sides of this equation. First, to find employers and volunteers willing to share this vision, and second, to get young individuals we work with ready with both the hard and the soft skills necessary to be successful. We focus on poverty. We focus on stability, and we give a voice to this issue. The way out of poverty is not a safety net, but a job. This is incredibly hard and complex work, but it is work we are doing, and given needs, work we need to grow. This work, in addition to being hard, is also in need of individuals who share our vision and are willing to go shoulder to shoulder with us to make this work happen. It is here that I look to my brothers and sisters. It is here I look to you. Together we can give voice to the issue of poverty, and together we can make a difference. So 2 stories, if I might, on making a difference. When I became a manager for the first time, I called my dad to let him know I was a new manager. I was working for IBM at the time, and I can remember the phone call like it was yesterday. He asked me to stand up, look down, and tell him what I saw. Black wingtips, I replied. I was in uniform. Wrong answer. You need to be wearing muddy boots. You don't lead from behind the desk. His point was, you go out into the field, you talk to customers, clients, the people closest to the work, and you listen, and you learn. You do your best work collectively. I can tell you it was the best advice ever. I brought this lesson to everywhere I've worked, and I brought it when I joined ECS. You do this work in the field, and you learn first from your clients and from the extraordinary people doing this work, both the professional and the volunteer. What are the needs? What works? What doesn't? Our focus is shaped by the practice of muddy boots. However, in addition to boots that are muddy, this work takes leadership, not just of individuals, but organizational, as a focused team to be nimble and responsive. There, I also take heart from a letter my dad sent me several years later. Thoughts on leadership for every member of the team from a commencement address he gave at Columbia. And I quote, "Leadership is hard, and it is rewarding. It is about doing the right thing, not the popular thing. It is about being confident in yourself, but wise enough to take the advice of those you trust. It is about understanding the facts, not the emotion. It is about being fair to all, not just a few. It is about courage and vision. It is about humor and humility. And then the words that mean the most to me personally. It is about putting yourself in the hands of a higher power and having the faith to let that power guide your actions. It is never about the talk. It is all about the deeds. So, we need to put on our muddy boots, go into the field and seek out a stranger and listen and understand the needs. We need to learn from the people who do this work and do it well. Poverty robs people of choice. Poverty robs people of choice. Our common work is to help the population dealing with poverty to once again have the dignity of choice. Choice that, frankly, every single one of us takes for granted. Together, we come together in worship today, a practice essential to a people of faith. So too is the practice of listening and talking and seeking common understanding and then common action. Finally, as my dad wrote me so many years ago, is the power of deeds, of action, of hands-on work. This work, the work that we do here, can be overwhelming, but I take comfort that it starts and can start with one individual at a time. It builds as communities of faith come together and focus on our common call and our common work. I have always loved the dismissal that informs us that the worship has ended and that the service now begins. So, again, let me thank you for your support, both historical and going forward. As a people of faith, we are called to respect the dignity of every human being in our common baptismal covenant. We are asked to lean in and live that covenant. The challenges of poverty, stability, and advocacy demand no less. In this season and in this current environment, it is good to remember that in many ways, these are the traditional works of the church. We believe with all our heart and all our soul that the time has come to return to the roots of this call to mission. It's the common work we are called to do. We are committed first to listen, to action, and then to deeds, and to give those in poverty a voice, and in turn, a choice. It is work we need to do, and work we need to do together. Together, our deeds and our voice can give hope. We either confront poverty and its ravages, or in time, it will consume us as a society. Neither silence nor inaction is an option. So let us answer the clarion call to service, both as individuals and as the body of Christ, in the same way as when we renew our baptismal covenant. With God's help, we will. Amen.